White privilege refers to the social, economic, and political advantages or benefits that white people experience in societies where racial inequality exists. These advantages are often unearned and not always consciously acknowledged by those who benefit from them. White privilege doesn't mean that white people don't face challenges, but it highlights the systemic advantages that come with being part of the racial majority or a historically dominant racial group. Understanding how white privilege intersects with success in the workplace is important because it helps explain why some individuals may have an easier time advancing in their careers, while others, especially people of color, face greater obstacles despite similar or even superior qualifications and performance. Here's a deeper look into this dynamic. White privilege in the workplace can manifest in both subtle and overt ways. Some examples include unequal access to opportunities. Networking. White individuals may have greater access to professional networks, mentorship, and sponsorship due to existing social connections or implicit favoritism. These networks can be crucial for career advancement. Job opportunities. Studies have shown that job applicants with white-sounding names are more likely to get callbacks compared to those with ethnic or minority-sounding names, even if their qualifications are identical. This bias can extend to hiring decisions, promotions, and assignments to important projects. Perceptions of competence and leadership. Implicit bias. White employees may be more likely to be perceived as competent, confident, or leadership material, even in the absence of demonstrable proof. On the other hand, people of color might have to work harder to prove themselves, or their abilities might be questioned more frequently, even with the same or better qualifications. Stereotypes. Certain racial groups face stereotypes that may influence how their ideas, contributions, or leadership potential are viewed. For example, Black employees might be perceived as angry or intimidating when expressing frustration or assertiveness, while white employees may be viewed as authoritative or strong-willed when exhibiting similar traits. Workplace culture and norms. Cultural fit. In many workplaces, especially in industries where white people have historically been the majority, the office culture is often shaped by predominantly white values, behaviors, and communication styles. White employees are typically more likely to fit in with these norms, while people of color may feel pressure to code switch, altering their behavior, speech, or appearance to fit in, or face exclusion. Microaggressions. People of color may experience subtle but consistent microaggressions, small, often unconscious discriminatory actions or comments. These can undermine confidence, create emotional labor, and hinder career advancement. White employees are less likely to face such challenges, making their path to success smoother. Success at work is often seen through a lens of meritocracy, where individuals are assumed to succeed based purely on their hard work, talent, and qualifications. However, when white privilege is factored in, it becomes clear that the playing field is not level for everyone. Here's how white privilege can shape the perception of success. Unacknowledged advantage. Many white employees may not recognize how much of their success is shaped by advantages they receive due to their race. These advantages are often invisible to those who benefit from them. For example, fewer barriers to advancement. White employees might find it easier to access promotions or leadership opportunities because they are more likely to be mentored, given the benefit of the doubt, or supported by decision makers who share their racial background. Fewer challenges in fitting in. White employees might not have to worry about navigating racial dynamics in the same way that employees of color often do. They are less likely to experience exclusion or bias based on their racial identity. Unconscious bias in performance reviews. Performance reviews are often influenced by unconscious biases. White employees may receive more favorable evaluations because of racial bias embedded in the review process. Cultural bias in evaluation performance metrics and expectations might unintentionally favor traits that align with white cultural norms. For instance, behaviors like assertiveness or confidence might be more readily accepted in white employees, while similar behaviors in people of color may be viewed as aggression or arrogance. Racial bias in feedback. Feedback may be more critical or focused on weaknesses for employees of color, while white employees may receive more balanced or positive reviews, regardless of the actual performance. Lack of systemic barriers. While individuals of all races can face personal or professional challenges, white employees are generally less likely to face systemic barriers rooted in racism, which can hinder success at work. Discrimination. White employees are less likely to face overt racial discrimination in hiring, promotions, or salary negotiations. People of color often have to work harder to overcome stereotypes and biases that undermine their professional potential. Access to resources. White employees are often more likely to have access to resources like funding for projects, leadership training, and key assignments that are critical for career advancement. Understanding white privilege in the workplace is essential for fostering a more inclusive, equitable, and fair environment for everyone. It requires both individuals and organizations to recognize how systemic biases affect career outcomes. Here's how white employees can begin to recognize and act upon their privilege. Acknowledge and reflect. Self-reflection. White employees can start by reflecting on how their experiences in the workplace might differ from those of colleagues of color. This might include considering whether they've faced challenges based on their race, or if they've had access to opportunities that others have not. Education. Educating oneself about systemic racism and its impacts on career outcomes is a key step in understanding white privilege. This can involve reading books, attending workshops, or engaging with colleagues who are willing to share their experiences. Be an ally. Advocating for equity. White employees in positions of power or leadership can advocate for policies that promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. This includes supporting hiring practices that aim to reduce bias, offering mentorship to underrepresented employees, and ensuring that performance reviews and promotions are free from racial bias. Amplify marginalized voices. White employees can use their privilege to amplify the voices of marginalized colleagues. For example, they can ensure that the contributions of people of color are recognized in meetings and projects, or that their perspectives are represented in decision-making processes. Foster an inclusive environment. Creating inclusive spaces. White employees can work to create inclusive work environments by fostering open communication, discouraging microaggressions, and promoting diversity in teams. Organizations should offer regular training on diversity and inclusion to help employees understand and challenge biases. Recognize the value of diversity. Diverse teams tend to be more innovative and effective. Acknowledging the value of diversity, both in thought and experience, can lead to more successful, inclusive, and high-performing teams. For real change to happen, organizations must take deliberate steps to address systemic racial inequality and support the success of all employees, regardless of their race. Some ways this can be done include diversity and inclusion initiatives. Implementing and supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion programs is critical. These initiatives should be more than just lip service. They should focus on tangible results like equitable hiring practices, mentorship programs for underrepresented groups, and a commitment to diverse leadership. Accountability. Organizations should hold managers and leaders accountable for fostering inclusive environments and ensuring that all employees, particularly employees of color, have equal access to opportunities, resources, and promotions. Data-driven decisions. Collecting and analyzing data on hiring, promotions, and pay can help organizations identify inequities in the system and take corrective action. Conclusion. White privilege plays a significant role in workplace success by providing unearned advantages that people of color may not experience. Recognizing these advantages, both individually and organizationally, is a crucial step toward building a more equitable and inclusive workplace. By acknowledging and understanding the ways in which white privilege impacts career outcomes, employees and employers can work together to create environments where success is truly based on merit and everyone has an equal opportunity to thrive.